What's up, guys? We are ranking all of the Mickey mice in Disney Lorcana.
Oh, God.
There are
Mickey
6
mice.
of them now, 1 in each color. So what do you guys want to do here? Do we want to talk about Amber Mickey? What do you guys think about Amber Mickey? Jim, I'm going to let you talk first.
Ooh, okay. So Amber Mickey is the 3-cost, 3/3 that can quest for 2 lore. And I'm going to be honest, this one's pretty generic. It's not exciting. There's nothing fun about him. He can quest for 2, which is kind of cool. And I was going to put him straight in the C tier just to start us off.
That's respectable. Jay, D-House, do you guys have any differing opinions?
You go ahead, David.
Yeah, I'm gonna, just for controversy's sake, I'm actually gonna put Mickey in D tier.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. Why?
To be controversial.
We're off to a great start here.
That, honestly, this is okay. It does have 2 lore pips, so I'm probably being unfair. But I feel like I've said this before, but 3 health is a weird spot to be in Lorcana, specifically because of Baby Hook, stuff like Smash. 3 just seems to be a break point where you're just really vulnerable at 3. It does attack for 3, so it's a little better than like a Donald Duck, obviously. But when I look at the other Mickeys versus this, I think meh. Throw him a D.
I actually think I agree that it's probably D tier, to be honest. It's interesting we're starting with this one, because this one I think, I haven't decided yet. Might be the worst one in my opinion.
It might be.
Spoilers.
3 cost for 3, like he said, 3 health just feels so bad. I don't care if he has 2 lore pips.
It does feel so bad.
If I want to drop someone to gain 2 lore just as like a 1-drop quest with them, and then they're gonna be defeated, I could just play 1 cost Maleficent. It's like he just feels so bad.
I think honestly, like, a test in analyzing cards and how good they are is going to be, does it die to Captain Hook, like the 1-cost Captain Hook? And that, I think anything that does, you have to like really think about, like, is this worth me spending 3 times as many resources on it than they spent on theirs to defeat mine? I'm tending to agree that this might be a D tier, or even this may be unplayable.
It might be unplayable.
Honestly,
it's not the worst card.
Or Premier
right?
F tier.
Here's my argument. I've been playing a lot of Amber, and I have stopped including this in all of my Amber decks over the last like 3 weeks, and we only have a quarter of the card pool. Once we have a bigger card pool, I cannot possibly imagine wanting this card in any of my decks.
No, you're 100% right, because this is the stat line that is across every color. So like Kristoff, I've completely stopped playing Kristoff.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. Like I think they're both unplayable. I think you're right. You hit the nail on the head there, Coach.
The other argument, or the argument that goes along with this, is that Jasmine, the Sapphire version of this whole package, the 3-cost 3 willpower 2 lore, is a princess, and that gives her sort of like extra value on top of these guys. So unless there's some kind of Mickey synergy going on, I think this is unplayable. So I think we average this out to a D tier.
Yeah, we're playing diplomatically here.
So I just went first, and so I started safe with the nice little C. In my head, I'm like, C is like below average. I'm not putting into a deck, but it's not awful. I mean, I could easily be swayed for.
Have we convinced you?
I fairly well, yes. I think just even what y'all were sharing about,
we've done it.
Our first
let's take some harsh rules.
We've ranked our first Mickey, and it is certified unplayable.
The first card we've ever ranked in this game is just immediately
unplayable.
End the video. Thanks for tuning in.
All right, guys. Next up, we've got the Steel Mickey, which is definitely a little bit more interesting, at the very least, than Amber Mickey. Jay, why don't you start us off here?
Oh God, here we go. All right, so this one's a little bit tougher for me to evaluate because I haven't played it enough. I've played all the other ones a decent amount, and this one came out more recently, and he is in that weird spot that he cost 6. So it's like you have to draw him in the late game for you to even keep him to play most of the time, and not just ink him. So I'm going based purely off of like evaluating the card without like playing it enough, and I think that his 7 health and bodyguard is incredibly powerful, mixed with the fact that, and that's without even including his ability to give other what are they called, musketeers +1, which includes himself. So if you can get 2 of these out, they both get +1, which is pretty sweet. I will give him an A. I think I'm gonna go with an A.
I like it. David, thoughts?
Yeah, I'm sorry to be boring, but I'm going A as well. I think 6 cost feels a little high, maybe, which would stop him from being S tier for me. But I think bodyguard is incredibly like strong, and this musketeer ability, this is one that will like I could easily see this increasing in value over the course of the game if more musketeers are released. Just to say, like, all musketeer characters get +1 strength feels really good. So I'm saying A.
Jim?
Yeah.
Dissenting opinions?
No. A is great. I think
all the way.
I feel like the musketeer line on there is almost a trap. Like, trying to play too much into that just isn't even necessary. Like, what it's doing as a bodyguard with 7 health is perfectly fine. So it could get better with more musketeers, but I don't think that's actually going to matter. I think it's just a great card at A.
Well, it also includes itself. That's what the good part about it. It's like if you play
like
two
icing
of them,
on the
they
cake.
both have 3 now.
Yes. Yeah, it's not if you play 1, it's now a 3 strength. It's the second time you play it, they both have +1.
Right.
Yeah. I think I'm pretty in line with you guys. I don't think that it's like crazy enough to be an S tier. I also don't think we've seen enough cards in the card pool to like call this specific card an S. But I think A is pretty in line with what I'm thinking. I think the stat line alone is like pretty good. And bodyguard obviously is very, very valuable. So this one's an A.
I think it has the potential to be an S if I play it more, because I can totally see like game winning plays with this card, right? So like you're at 8 mana, or you're at 8 ink, and you play this out with bodyguard and 2 maleficents, and that's 4
that's a lot for your opponent
questing
to deal with.
And you have bodyguard, so he can't hit those little maleficents. Like, I could see it being really good. But
yeah, if you're watching this video in the future, keep in mind we've only seen 74 cards of the first set. So
no. If you're watching this video in the future, you are obligated to roast us for how wrong we are here.
Surely there will be no repercussions for doing a tier list this early.
I'm setting a reminder on my phone for a year from now to come back to this video, by the way.
Yes.
I guarantee we'll be wrong about at least half.
Yeah.
Hopefully not, but probably. All right. We're moving on to the Ruby Mickey. And David, I'm going to have you start us off on this one.
Yeah, I was afraid you'd start with me. This is the one Mickey I have not played with at all, because I'm just waiting for more Ruby spoilers. So I've watched some games with it. I think, gosh, obviously 4 lore pips, insane, evasive, very strong. 5 health still feels very vulnerable. An 8 cost, gosh, I don't. I'm gonna say A.
Okay,
that's just where I'm landing. I don't have any justification.
Fair. How about you, Jim?
Oh, I'm thinking C tier.
C tier. All right, let's hear it.
I think this card is way overcosted, or like it's just too expensive for what all it's trying to do. It's not. It's probably fine on cost, but if I'm spending 8 resources for 1 card, this thing better win me the game or get very close to it.
But it can win you the game.
It can in 2 to 3 turns, but it's going to be a lot to stay out there. It does get countered. Currently, again, with the small card pool, there's not a ton of like spot removal, but you're going to tech in spot removal into your deck. If I see a Ruby, like I'm going against Ruby, I'm assuming there's going to be some big creatures that are coming at me. So you're going to save it for that. I just don't think. I think more often than not, you're going to play this card and they're going to immediately answer it, and it's not going to do anything except stall a turn. So if like Dream World happens and they don't have anything with evasive and you can quest twice with this for 8, that's amazing. I just think with how late in the game this card's going to come out and it doesn't do anything the turn it comes out and you have to hope that they don't have any answers, I think that is wishful thinking there. So that's why I said C.
Sure. Jay?
I actually have cooled a bit on this card. I'm not surprised with his ranking. I'm going to put it in B for now, simply because I do think that if it gets out and it's you don't have an answer for it, it's like just game ending. But yeah, like fire breathing, anything that costs, number one, getting to 8 ink.
It's hard.
It's not super easy in this game unless you're playing blue. And a lot of games don't get to that point. And if you get this early, you're probably just inking it. You're not going to hold it in your hand forever. So like it requires a fair amount. It has good payoff, but yeah, like the fact fire breathing exists and it can just remove your 8 costs. Anything that costs that much feels bad to play sometimes.
Yeah, it does just die to Dragonfire, so that's a downside.
Oh yeah, Dragonfire. I kept calling it fire breathing.
Hopefully everybody knew what you were talking about. I think there's a couple of interesting points about this card. I think number one, the stats are pretty crazy with evasive. Like it is hard to remove, but it also is very expensive. And I agree with Jim. Like if you're paying 8 for something, it better win you the game, or like it better threaten to win you the game. I do think that this does threaten to win you the game, but what I've learned through playing a million card games is if you're sinking this many resources into something and you're not getting immediate value out of it, it's really hard to justify. So if this had some kind of like enters play ability, or maybe if it, I don't know, returned to your hand when it was banished, or if it split into a bunch of little Mickeys, like if you were able to get value out of it after your opponent just banishes it, or before your opponent just banishes it, then it's okay. I think this card probably finds a home somewhere in some deck that can get to 8 more easily, or maybe your deck just has so many like evasive threats that you're sort of, running your opponent out of their answers until you can play this and win off of the back of it. But I tend to agree. I think I'm putting this into B tier. I think it has potential. I think it will be in some decks, but I don't think that it's going to be like an A where it's going to be in like almost every steel deck, or like, like almost every ruby deck. I think it requires a very specific build to make use of this card.
I hope you're right, because it's a legendary, right?
It is a legendary. And actually we should, once more legendaries are revealed, we'll definitely do a legendary tier list because Gantu's unplayable.
Spoilers.
All right, so
that was a good average there.
Yeah,
though.
good average
and
B for sure.
1C, 2 Bs,
Yeah.
I do want to say
That's
I rated
good.
that as a C, knowing Amber was now down at unplayable. I don't actually think that one and the Amber and Mickey are the same level.
No, yeah, for sure. All right, now for the one that we're gonna have the most disagreements about, I can guarantee it, is Amethyst Mickey. Who likes brooms? Jim,
go first.
Oh, great. I love it so much. All right. So Amethyst Mickey is a 4-cost 3/4. And then it has 2 lore. And it says brooms cost 1 less. And when a broom is defeated, it returns to hand instead of being discarded. So a lot of cool broom synergy on a pretty okay body. 4 health is a little tough to try to chew through, and 2 lore is nothing to scoff at. And I'm going to put this just in the B tier, even with all of that.
all right.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if you're playing too much into the broom strategy, probably not ideal, but I do think 4 health is really solid. So I think it's likely to either trade 2 smaller units or stay around for a couple of turns. So I'm looking at it more for the stats and how much lore it's gaining more than the broom synergy, but even still, I put it like low B, but not quite in C tier.
Sounds good. David, I'm gonna go to you next. Jay, I'll hit you last because you're gonna have the spiciest take.
Can we add an S+ for our tiers? Just kidding. Okay. I'm not putting this in S tier because I know what you guys are gonna say, and I'm not insane, but I am putting this in A tier because Mike, you just made the comment. If you're gonna pour 8 resources into Ruby Mickey and you don't get immediate benefit, then you're like, this is like terrible, whatever. This Mickey costs half of that, costs 4.
It does.
And you've got 2 abilities that are active the turn you play it. Like, you don't have to wait. It doesn't even have to survive a full turn before you gets dragon fired. It's just like, hey, here's a broom for 1, or I've got 3 brooms out that have just been chilling there, and now I dropped this Mickey in, and pop, taking care of some things, playing out the brooms again. Even if you can genuinely play a game and never quest with this Mickey. And you'll be fine with it. Of course, obviously there's spot removal and a couple fire the cannons takes it out. But they've hinted at more brooms coming, people. So keep that in mind. Purple Mickey, A tier.
To the moon.
All right, Jay.
This one is very hard for me because, one, I don't know how many more brooms are going to exist.
Yeah.
I think
this one's going to be the hardest for us to evaluate for sure. This is the one we're going to be the most wrong about.
100%. But at the same time, a 60-card deck, if it's a 60-card deck and you're including 12 brooms, and then you never see this Mickey, that just feels so bad. And you're not drawing up your hand at the end of the turn like most of the games we play. So it's like 1 card a turn for maybe 15 turns. You have a pretty good chance of seeing it in that amount of time. But like if you see it late and you've been flushed with brooms, that feels bad. So brooms without this Mickey are terrible value, in my opinion. But we're not talking about the brooms. Mickey turns those brooms into basically fire the cannons that just keep coming back to your hand, which is pretty cool.
We didn't even talk about the brooms being able to take stuff out of your opponent's discard. So if you're doing some kind of Hades trick, where you're trying to get stuff, like it does have some, like, not only is it like a free 2/2 or a 1/2, 1 costing 2/2 that goes back to your hand, but like you can also remove recursion opportunities for your opponent.
Yep. But I do think currently with what we have now that the whole Mickey broom combo is easily countered by spot removal like fire the cannons or smash, or Elsa to get rid of the Mickey, and now you just have super low value brooms sitting there that aren't going to be doing anything for you. I'm going to put this guy in probably the C tier for now.
Sheesh.
I'm not. I could say so much about this, but I don't want it to drag on.
I have so many thoughts about this Mickey. I think I used to think that this was like D tier, and that was before we saw Friends from the Other Side, or Friends on the Other Side. I think that card. I think this card might be S tier, and I'll tell you guys why. So I have seen this do such broken things in this game. Like, I think the ceiling on this card is so much higher than so many other cards in this game, where you have your Mickey out, your opponent can't deal with it, and you're just like chucking brooms at them left and right. They can't deal with any of it. You're getting essentially infinite value off of those brooms. The other thing is that, like, Friends from the Other Side makes it a little bit easier for you to actually find both Mickey and the brooms. So now there's a bit less of a consistency issue because you're able to draw more cards, more frequently. And then the other thing is that with the brooms themselves, you can shuffle back your Friends on the Other Side into your deck so you can draw more of them throughout the game. So I think, like, those things combined, like, I hesitate to actually put it in S tier, but I think if we get like even one good broom in the game, like I'm pretty sure it gets close, because I can't it's like the value engine that it creates and generates, I think goes in probably most Amethyst decks, because it's just so like generically good that I think if if we get a couple more card draw cards or a couple more cards that like sort of allow you to assemble the pieces, this thing just goes crazy. And the other thing is that both the broom and this Mickey are inkable. So if you're in a position where you are just, you've drawn just the brooms or you've drawn just the Mickeys and you don't really feel like you want to wait for the rest of the package, you just ink them. So I think I just convinced myself to treat this as S tier, which I didn't necessarily think I was going to do going into this, but I think this is pretty crazy.
So we have an S, an A, a B, and a C so far. So we're all over the place.
So I think
I did come up putting it at a C.
You did.
I 100% at one point was like, this card is completely
like,
unplayable.
This is the worst card in the game. I think it's either high B or low A. What are you guys feeling?
A.
I don't think it's better than Steel Mickey, so definitely if it's going to
it is better than Ruby Mickey, though, don't you think?
I think so. If we're going to use that argument of like the recursion opportunities and just the combo potential, I forgot about the ability to shuffle things back, so I could be swayed to a high B.
Are you
if
coming
you
up?
guys are going there, I'd go up.
Go up.
High B or low A?
I changed my vote to S tier, so it's an A.
Thanks, David.
Yep.
Okay, that's how this works.
All right. We're putting it there. All right, last two. We've got Emerald Mickey. Generic 3/4 with 1 lore. Jay.
This is... I really like this Mickey. I think this Mickey's awesome because he's got 4 health.
Jalapeno spicy take.
Having four it's health.
It's a nice stat line for 3.
This takes out like a lot of 3 costs that are good playable cards that people will play is like Donald Duck, or 2 costs. I mean, it's like Donald Duck, which is a 2/3, and this takes out Donald, and you still have 2 health left over for another Donald or something else that's 3 health.
Or maybe Donald's
like
just unplayable.
Donald might be unplayable, but like Captain can't take this guy out. Little Captain. I don't know. Just looking at stat lines, 3/4 feels really good, especially for only 3 cost. So I'm gonna actually give this guy either a high B, better than Ruby, or a low A.
Nice. All right.
What?
David. Are you all right, man?
No! What? Low A? No. This is... I was debating between D or unplayable.
Here we
my
go.
God.
Here we go.
Green Emerald is like one of the most fascinating colors because we've had the lowest amount of spoilers. So, again, this could be completely wrong. So the points I'll give it are that it does have 4 health, which, again, that breakpoint, it just seems to like be just that much better than 3 because it gets away from Baby Hook. And it does seem to be in green. We're not seeing a bunch of like strong strength. In green. So to see 3, it's like, well, maybe like I need something to deal with, actually challenge because Cheshire Cat's not doing it. Lady Tremaine's not doing it. But gosh, I mean, I'm already cutting it from green decks and there's like hardly any green cards. So I'm putting it in D tier for sure.
Jim.
As I was like looking through all of them, I definitely like this one so much more than the Amber one, even though it's just 1 extra health compared to the amount of lore, which I think shows for everyone listening, we don't value how much lore it could get on Quest too much. It matters, of course, but this game has just been so much more about the board control.
Yeah.
And maybe that will not be the case after we get all of the cards. But for right now, that's kind of the mindset we've been using. I feel like if Amber Mickey is unplayable, I was going to put this low C, so not super high, but definitely higher than unplayable. But I think more than likely, because it's a vanilla stat line card that doesn't do anything exciting, it's probably going to end up getting cut once we do have the full set released. So I don't see how this card is anything more than like the 57th through 60th cards that you're adding to your deck, and you're just not excited about it.
Before you go, Mike, I do want to mention one is that we haven't seen all the cards, so like
totally
the fact that this is a 3/4 is what we have. So it's like it feels good to play because
Yeah.
you don't have just throwing that out there one time. But also when I evaluate this card compared to Amber Mickey, it's the equivalent in my mind, like in Flesh and Blood, where 4 is that break point.
Mhm.
It's like a 4 cost or a 4 attack could be completely playable in every deck, and then the 3 attack version is completely unplayable. So I can see why this would be like really good, whereas the Amber one is not. The same kind of concept to me.
Okay. I see what you're saying. I'm still going C. But
I see all your guys' points for sure. I think like Wardrobe is basically the same card.
Yeah.
And I will play Wardrobe in my Amethyst decks because I value the stat line more than I value anything else. So I would put this in the same level as that, which is probably like high C, low B, where it's like it's a card that I'll put in my deck, but I'm not that excited about it. But the fact that it can fairly frequently trade with 2 things makes it valuable, because card advantage is real in this game. That's like one of the sort of most valuable things in this entire game, at least as far as we've played so far. And a stat line like this lets you get more value out of your card than your opponent can get out of there. So this can trade with like, obviously like 2 Amber Mickeys, right? Or 2, whatever your 3/3 is. And there are quite a few 3 health characters in this game that people do play. And, this gets rid of 2 Hercules. Like that's pretty good. Like this trades into a Hercules and survives, and then has to be dealt with later, or it's going to hit something else for 3. So I think for now, like in the decks that we're building now, I think this is a low B, but I think like long term, this is probably C or D once we have more cards. So I'm going to average it out to like a high C.
Like the drink.
Great drink.
Yeah, exactly.
Fruit punch
Take
is
you
the
guys
way to
back to
go.
elementary school. So we've got an unplayable. We've got low A. We've got a C and a C. Was that it? So I think
I put D.
you put D. Okay, I
said
think
D.
we're going to
I didn't say
average out to a
unplayable.
C. This feels right to me.
Feels right.
Yeah, if you guys disagree strongly,
It's a passing grade.
hold
but
your
it's,
tongue.
Yeah.
And lastly, we've got the blue Sapphire Mickey Mouse
Mike, you have to go
detective.
first.
Oh, okay. Oh,
this
man.
will be the spiciest.
I have-
This is the toughest one
Dude,
for me.
this is by far the hardest one to evaluate. I have such a like love-hate relationship with this card. In half of my games, it's the best card in my deck, and half of my games, it's the worst card in my deck. Like when it lines up and you get to do something cool with it, you get to ramp with it, and then you don't draw 4 of them in your hands at a time and aren't able to ink anything, it's really great. But when you do draw 4 of them in your hand at a time and you can't ink anything, it is garbage. So I have a hard time calling this anything but a C, because it is as good as it is terrible. Like ramp is good, the card advantage is really good. You're drawing a card and inking it at the same time when you play this card, essentially. Like it's a powerful effect, but the 1/3 stat line is garbage, and the fact that you can't ink it is so bad. I have like steered away from including cards in my deck that I can't ink as much as I possibly can. So that I'm going with C. Jim, what about you?
Sure, let's break this one up. I'm going to go A tier on this card.
Oh, okay.
And I was wanting to potentially go S tier because, like, any ramp style decks just are going to be a part of this game. And I think this card is the first thing you slot into any type of ramp deck. However, it costing 3, I think actually brings it down to not S tier. I think if it was like a 2 cost 0/2, I would be like all day put that in S tier, because you're literally just using it for the ramp, so that while your opponent's playing a 3 cost, you're playing a 4, and then they're playing a 4 cost, you're playing a 5. So it's the exponential growth that you've now had. It's not just one extra resource; it's every turn it's an additional one, especially if you're able to like ramp out well. But at 3, I feel like it's right at that point of like, it's still good to be ramping with resources, but it's almost getting too late. So that's why I can't go just straight up S tier. But like you all said, the 1/3 for 1 stat line, I mean, that's basically worth 1 resource. So you're paying 2 to get to be a unit ahead. But I don't know. I'd say low A. I could maybe be swayed for high B right now, but that's where I'm putting this card. And like
Fair.
I said, right now with the card pool we have, it's probably low or like high C, low B. But I'm convinced that we're going to have some opportunities to really ramp in this game, and that'll be a staple of a like play style.
I think that's fair. Jay, what are your thoughts?
Oh man, I'm like you. I've been wishy-washy on this card.
Yeah.
Like when we first started playing, I was like, "Oh, this card is gas."
Yeah.
So, in your opening hand, this card is S tier. You top deck it, one of the worst cards in the game. Like
drawing this late is so bad.
It's terrible, and the fact you can't ink it makes it that much worse. I mean, realistically, yeah, no. I mean, not being able to ink it is just garbage because, like, I was trying to rationalize. Yeah, you could just play it and then you get an ink, but it's like you already have 8. I don't know. It's bad. The one attack is just.
It's just. I mean, it might as well be 0. I mean, it's so bad.
It's just like you use it to quest, and it's only got one quest. I don't know, man. It feels. Yeah, it's. I don't know how to describe it. It's like if you get it early, then it's really good. But if you get it late, I think getting it late is just so bad that it makes it unplayable. So I'm gonna go with like D.
I just responding real quick. I think against a lot of decks, it is a big tempo hit on turn 3, even if you're playing it on curve.
That's fair.
I think sometimes it's just not even good when you do that. Like you're dropping a 1/3 when they're dropping a 3/4, and like unless you're following this up with a 5 cost, sorry, that's like Moana level sort of like combo-y crazy, like going to lead to you getting way ahead on turn 4. Like you do take a hit by playing a card like this on turn 3, even though it does ramp you. But I agree with Jim. I think that like there will be a point in this game where there is that 5 cost card that's like just so good that getting to it on 4, it makes this, so it sort of like brings this to the level of being, I don't know, A tier, S tier, like good. But I do think it's like specific where I don't think I'm going to want this in every single Sapphire deck that I make. So
definitely not.
I think just based on that, I think we can't call it S tier, but I could see it being A in the future. David,
I think. Oh,
sorry, no, Jim, go for it. Go for it.
I was going to combat one point Jay made just with the top decking part, because that's going to happen with any 1 cost that you have in your deck. Like even the 1 cost Captain Hook top decking is not going to feel good. So
it feels better than this.
It does, but my counterpoint to it is if the purpose of this deck is to have more high cost units that you're ramping into, you're going to be top decking 1 cost essentially units way less often. Because Captain Hook versus this, they're both just bad late game anyway.
Yeah.
It's kind of
bigger card pool. I think this card probably ends up being better.
I guess my point there is that top decking any other 3 cost. Like if this is taking one of your 3 cost slots, like if you math out a deck, we're gonna eventually get to where like there's a ink curve, and it's like you're sacrificing 4 of your 3 cost slots that could be a 3/4 for a 1/3 that ramps you. And top decking a 3/4 late game feels so much better than top decking a 1/3 that's going to put you at your 10th ink.
And that's where I think the math for if you include this card in your deck just bumps it all higher. So you're naturally putting higher cost cards in your deck if you're using this card. So while you're top decking 3 costs, I'm probably top decking 4 costs because I've tuned my deck a little bit higher because of that. It's the same idea though.
I know what you mean.
Just pretend this is a 1 cost in your deck. So
David.
B-.
That's it. Okay.
Perfect. All right. So David was a B-. Jay, you were
a D.
D. Jim, you were an A.
I'm staying with A.
Okay, and I think I was C. So I think it's either low B or high C. I'm thinking. This one costs exactly the same.
Mhm.
Which one's better?
You ain't gotta ask me.
I think blue is better.
I think blue is definitely more powerful in the right circumstance. So I think I'm comfortable putting this in low B. Like I think the decks where this is good is more impactful where the decks where this is good.
Mhm.
So that's my reasoning. So there you guys have it. Here is our 35-minute rant video about the tier list, the definitive unplayable tier list for Mickey Mouse in Disney Lorcana. If you guys made it this far, congratulations.
Irrefutable.
to us, because we were somehow entertaining you for that long.
People are going to disagree with us so much.
Good. If you disagree with us, tell us fervently in the comments. Just yell at us, roast us.
Yep.
And I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching.
Bye.